Hello everyone, welcome back to the live stream. Today we will continue the build of the LEGO Creator 3-in-1 castle, starting from bag number 6. So I'll get that shortly. And here we go. I'm also going to pull up the live chat on my computer and just set up some nice background music, so just give me a second to do that. And I'll also get the minifigures and place them here, and be sure to let me know which one is your favorite out of the minifigures that we built so far. So we have a male knight, the king, this guy was like some serpentine or serpent faction type of figure, very mysterious, and a female knight. And we also got a hairpiece that could be used by pretty much any of these minifigures. So that's pretty nice to get as well. So can we zoom in here on this app? Yes, we can. So here's a look at the minifigures while I set up the music, etc. Just give me a second to do that. And I will pull up the live chat momentarily as well. I do not see it yet. How are we all doing? I can see the chat now, so you can let me know which one of these minifigures is your favorite, what build are you excited for, and what are you expecting to see in this live stream. And I will start the music shortly. Just give me a moment to skip the ads. All right, it's time to start building. Just put the minifigures in the corner so they don't get impacted by all the construction. And for bag 6, first one on the left is your favorite, this one. All right, yeah, that's a good choice. So I'm going to only bring out part of the build. And this is what we built in bag 5 yesterday. So this is the only part that we need for bag 6. The other stuff, I have it to the side, off camera, and we'll get it later when we need to, just so I have a bit more space here. I was starting to feel a bit tired last night, which is why I cut the build in half. I did not want to build it when I'm so tired and sleepy, and I'll just not enjoy Sorry for the cough, by the way, but I just would not enjoy the build as much. All right, so what do we have here? I'm just moving this a bit closer to me because that makes it a bit easier to build instead of having it all the way over there. So it looks like we're going to use this Technic piece to attach this like this. I don't know why they did this. They could have just like used a regular brick, a 1x2 here. I don't know why they used this solution specifically, but maybe that will become clear later in the build. Oops. Looks like this piece has a bit of residue stuck on it, so I'll try to clean that up. I'm gonna hit it when that happens. Yep, there we go. Anyone want to guess what we're building? Without looking at the instructions or the pictures of the set, but just from these pieces, what do you think is going to end up being here? Of course, the more pieces I add, the more obvious it's going to become. So get your guesses in now, folks. Actually got this one wrong. All of these actually need to be moved by 2. Does anyone know what this is? I do have an idea, but I'm wondering if it's recognizable to people from the modern era. You don't really see these too much anymore. For those of you who are new to the live stream, welcome. It's always great to see people joining. Oh, we have one of these quote-unquote chocolate swirl pieces. But since we're placing it here, I'm not so sure that this is actually meant to represent chocolate, if you know what I mean. It's not the first time we've seen Lego use this piece in this way. We have the Natural History Museum that did something kind of similar 2 or 3 years ago. It's hard to believe it's been that long. think I got this wrong actually. I think it should be the other way around. Yeah, like this. Yeah, sometimes it's confusing to get these angles right, especially when things are moving around like this. You gotta make sure that this is pointing out this way, such that in the end there's gonna be another hinge piece like this to close that and make it more secure. So eventually we're gonna put this basically right here, but not yet. We have to build this stuff first. Oh, actually this goes here. Oh, that's strange. Okay, that answers some questions I was having. Always gotta pay close attention with these things. By now it should be obvious what this is. An interesting construction for a log, by the way. I've not seen this exact part combination before, but it makes sense. I guess it would be easier to spin this just so you get a better look at it. Or maybe this way. Yeah, so by now hopefully you recognized what this is. This cauldron, possibly used by some sorcerer or a magician or something like that. Yeah, they don't make them like they used to. Yeah, I wish they gave us like some green, like transparent piece to put here to represent some evil thing being brewed up, or maybe something purple. But you could always take one of the extra pieces like this one and put them here, or maybe one of the cherries, so not a very big deal. I don't think we got any magicians in this set though. Not any official ones though, at least. It's strange that they would use this piece here where it's only attached from this side. That's probably because they need these pieces in another build, because remember, this is a 3-in-1 set. They want to optimize for that as much as possible. So that's why some of the piece usages here might not make sense. Or maybe there is a secret reason, but we just don't know yet. So we'll just wait and see. And for now, this is shaping up pretty nicely. The fireplace definitely a bit more involved than first meets the eye. In the past, LEGO would barely put any detail in any of the castles that they did. So they have like a basic exterior and almost no interior detail at all. Maybe you have like one thing or two things if you're lucky. So kids these days, they're very lucky in comparison with like a fully designed interior that you can always customize, add your own parts, etc. Very, very different from what we used to have back in the good old days. But then again, this is a castle that costs $150 Canadian. I think the US price is 120 or 130, something like that. So not a cheap set by any means. Now we need to start building up here so that we can link all the assemblies together. A bit difficult to see what's going on here. This is my best guess. I don't know what these represent specifically. I would expect lights or something here, but there are currently none. this goes here. You gotta add a few more pieces first. I guess we can start building more on this side. Here's the Lego carrot with a very big stock piece. And this thing can actually get attached to an axle hole. So this can go in here. So it's held securely in place. It's not going to go anywhere. And we just attach this here. That's pretty funny. It's a Legoification of a carrot. This is like the traditional staircases that I would build as a child, just like bricks on top of bricks. We don't really see that too often these days. And this is probably a 2x3 and not a 2x2. It's got integrated into the wall that we're going to start building over here. Yeah, there's a lot more to this set than first meets the eye. There's actually so much thought that goes into the design to make sure it's as stable as possible, using just the right color blocking. It's not easy to design a good castle that can be built easily by kids and also enjoyed by adults at the same time. Not easy at all. Yeah, so here we can use this 2x3 to build the stairs and so on. It's going to continue. It's going to require a little bit of thinking to figure out how to put these, basically integrate these stairs with the wall and use exactly the right pieces in the right place. It's not always obvious, but we do have some hints based on the colors. So for example, for the dark bluish gray, it's only this or this. So that does narrow it down a little bit, which helps. So we do know, for example, this is going to go here. And then based on what else we see, it's probably a 1x1 over there. Yeah, because nothing else would fit. This goes here. Which means it cannot be used anywhere else, and at this point we're done with the 1x1s in dark bluish gray. And we can have this here. Which means that this goes here. Nowhere else for it to go. But actually, no, this goes here. Right? Oh yeah, no, this goes here. This still goes here to continue the pattern. And then the only thing that would make sense would be this to go here. Okay, I think I see it now. And obviously this would have to be like this. Okay, I think we solved it for the most part. And if we do this, it looks like this is actually shifted down by 1, such that we can put a 1x4 here. Oh, and this goes here. Built almost everything. We just have a little bit here and then the top of this roof. Lines up perfectly, as expected. those slopes in light bluish gray. I do not see one. This could be an inventory mistake because I've not really seen a need for this anywhere. But we do have an extra piece from extra pieces bag from yesterday. We have at least one. So I'll be using this one for now. And that's what these extra pieces are for. I could have also like not emptied the bags correctly, but usually I'm pretty good at that, especially with the plastic bags that clearly show what's inside. For whatever reason, we're using this tile here. We're just attaching this on top of it. But wait, there's one more thing to add from here. The other arch. Yeah, almost forgot about that. Pretty interesting way they combine the parts here. Now we can add this piece on this. we're getting closer to finishing here. Let's have a few more pieces to figure out. This goes here. That can be used by the minifigures, obviously. It's just a nice place to store it, and I do appreciate that LEGO gives us these clips. Over here we have like a foliage-based gate. What I mean by that is that the plant leaf can be rotated around like this, just like with the Lion Knight's castle, so that's pretty interesting. Just 2 more pieces and all of these are extras. Let's try to figure out where these go. Try to see if there's any gaps anywhere. This goes here. This does not go here, although I thought it might. A piece this big cannot be left out without causing some gaps somewhere. Okay, I still don't see it, so maybe it is genuinely an extra. Like sometimes LEGO does give, they give 1 piece more or 1 piece less than is expected, or it's somewhere deep in the build where it's not easy to see, or maybe it's there and could it be here? Maybe. No, not there. Yeah, so I'll just hold on to it for a future use if necessary. So bag 6 builds Bag 6 continues this part of the castle with what looks to be a stable, as well as a fireplace that can be used both from the dining area as well as from this area right here, which kind of looks like a kitchen. And by the way, the reason why I'm doing this is so that later when I download the recording of this live stream, I'm able to quickly edit it into something to basically give a build recap. That's the way I do it for my standard videos. I used to record those separately offline, but I just find it easier to do the whole thing here. So you got a little bit of behind the scenes of me preparing the videos for the channel. All right, so now let's get bag 7 ready. And how are we doing so far? Are we liking the build? It does look like in bag 7 we'll continue to build on top of this stuff, so I will keep it in view. Actually, I'll move the parts out of the way just because I want to focus on this. Have the build right in front of me. If you want to know what the parts are, the part list is available on lego.com and in the Lego Builder app. You can see bag by bag what does each thing contain, and if there's a very special or unique part, then I will point it out. Although for Lego Creator sets, there's not a lot of special parts, unique molds or anything like that, other than maybe minifigure parts from time to time. So some interesting parts that I do notice are these ones here. These are relatively new from 2023, I believe. We get them here in white. I don't know if it's the first time that we get them in white, but they're not super common pieces. We have these prints for the coins. We have seen these before. It's kind of hard to get a focus on them, but yeah, these are the well-known Lego coins. We have these minifig or mini doll crown pieces. We have seen these before as well. Some jewels, again, stuff that is well known at this point. So let's just build the minifigure. This looks like to be like a peasant or some other normal guy, which we do need in the medieval world. We can't just have everyone be the king. Although that would be interesting if everyone is the king. Maybe someone could invent a story like that and make it make sense. There's no alternative expression for this guy. Just the main expression, and he has this hair that's kind of similar to what we get with Luke Skywalker, interestingly enough. So maybe it's a secret reference to Star Wars. The blue pants though, the blue legs, they don't really match the rest of the aesthetic of this minifigure. So I don't know why they gave him the blue legs, but at least you can swap the legs with... Actually, you can't, because all these knights, all of them have printed legs. So I don't know what they were thinking. So he might be an impersonator, pretending to be medieval, but he's just wearing blue jeans, which is pretty funny to think about. There is printing at the back, but the legs are very easy to replace, so I'm not going to complain too much about this. All right, now onto the build itself. Oh, we got an interesting build right here. What do you think this is going to be? We're using the new stud with clip piece right here. And then I attach 4 of them to this thing right here. Throw a guess in the chat as to what do you think this is. Don't look at the instructions. Too hard? Okay, I'll give you a hint. We're going to add a bunch of these pieces. They don't need to be aligned perfectly. That's part of the charm of Lego. You can do things a little bit askew, especially for these medieval stuff. And it gives it like an old world charm. Speaking of old world, who can tell me what this is? Anybody? Anyone who likes history? Okay, now it will become obvious. And interestingly enough, the flame piece actually has 2 ways of attaching. There's this small attachment point right here, which is like a very small diameter, and then there's the usual bar a bit above it. So either way works. So here we're using the smallest possible hole. So Actually, you could set a mini doll hairpiece on fire. I never tried that. Now I'm actually curious to try it. If I have any mini dolls lying around. Actually, I do. Let's do that just for fun. Sometimes it's nice to have fun and not just be too serious. Okay. Lego Friends. Let's see, I do have a Lego Friends box. And Reach. There's a bunch of accessories and stuff. Where are the mini dolls? I know they're somewhere around here. They're hiding. They're hiding because they don't want to be lit on fire. But sorry, Paisley. So just want to test this theory, see if it actually is true. Oh yeah. Yeah, we can totally light the mini doll's hair on fire. So you see, like, this is a difference between this hole and this one right here. So that's pretty interesting to note. And that's the same type of hole found here. I will probably cut this out from the build summary. So the only way to get these snippets from me is if you watch live. But yeah, that was funny, at least to me. All right, moving on. We have this nice chandelier. I'm just putting away the friend stuff, won't be too long. And attach it somehow using this piece. This one actually goes the opposite way. This is too long. This one would go here. I have this very interesting brick-built shield design. So instead of using a printed piece, which is not as reusable, you cannot really take it apart to build something else with it. They're using these 5 pieces. So 4 tiles plus this plate. So you could make this a shield, and you can also take it apart and use it for something else if you want to. So this is very Lego-like. It also gives the idea across instantly. So that's a quite nice design decision that they did here. Yeah, very good design right there. And the reason why they did it, and the reason why they did not do this in previous years, is because this piece is relatively new. It's from 2024 and did not exist prior to that. So before that, they would have to print the piece or use the Nexonite shield or something like that. But now we can basically make a brick-built shape that looks like a Nexonite shield. We're doing the same thing with the John Deere colors. Again, this might be a hidden reference to John Deere, because LEGO does make a few John Deere licensed sets, mostly in the Technic theme. So this could be a hidden reference to them for fans of that theme who also like LEGO Creator. Or it could be a reference to something else, like some medieval or classic space faction. I wonder what's going on over here. It's not clear to me what this is or why we have to have this gap here, but it will hopefully become clear as time goes on. So far, the whole thing is a mystery to me. Oops. This probably represents something. Just not sure what it is yet. building another one of those shields. These are fun to put together. Yeah, back then, instead of company logos or YouTube channel logos, this is what they had in the good old days. Just colors like in this crisscross pattern, and every royal family would have their own version. It's pretty interesting, actually, if you want to go down a Wikipedia rabbit hole. Lots and lots of interesting stuff available over there. Still not perfectly clear to me how this whole thing is going to fit. We know that it's going to involve this piece, and then this piece is going to be in the middle with the chandelier attached. Well, actually, we do need to attach the chandelier pretty soon. And it looks like it's attached without friction, so that the wind can make it move on its own. Which is certainly unconventional choice. Or maybe the Lego designer really didn't want the blue pin here, which I totally understand, or the red pin with the friction. So like, okay, I don't care if it moves around a little bit, no big deal. So it looks like this fits here. That's what it looks like, although I'm not entirely sure. And then this, oh, we could just remove this piece temporarily, attach the chandelier, and bring this back. Yeah, and it will move a little bit. Yeah. wondering why they're doing all of this. I do see what they're doing, but I don't know why they're doing it. Yeah, there's a mix of studded and tiled off surfaces here. I'm still in the process of building it. I don't really know what we're going for here. I'm just going with it. We might get our answer later, or it might just be that we're hiding these pieces in the build because we need them for the alternative builds. This is the best place to hide them to make sure that the colors remain consistent. I might actually need to use this tile here. I'm not sure. I'll have to think about that a bit more. Depends on which piece ends up getting used, actually. In the meantime, let's figure out the door. It should be relatively easy. The whole door is built on the side, so these bracket pieces are going to bring us back to right side up. We also have this tile, by the way. Which we do know this goes here. We also do know that we have this small little build. This might be a door or other mechanism of some sort. Okay, so now we see where these pieces are used. They're used for like the door or roof covering of this particular part. That's some nice part usage right there. Well, it turns out that we do need this part somewhere else. So good thing we did not build too much around it. We can easily pry it off. Put this here. Yeah, so these pieces are probably hidden away so that they can be used in the other builds. Because we're going to end up needing them there. It's right here to be specific. This goes here. And then here we have an interesting situation where we actually insert this here, and it's just gonna go in here. There's no stress on the pieces. So that's definitely interesting. I was not expecting that. So it turns out these are not lights after all, but just some part of an entrance. So there's what that looks like from the side. It's pretty smart actually, and when you build it over multiple bags, you kind of forget about it. This becomes a door to the stable. Just gets clipped on, and yeah, it didn't feel like it clipped on properly. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so that's interesting right there. And obviously this door goes here. And wow, that fits perfectly. Well, there's a little bit of gap, but for medieval times, it's not a big deal. Yeah. So completely brick built door, which is on par for Lego Creator. On brand for it, sorry. Add these two here. These are very easy to add and to remove. So it might also be that Lego wants to make this set easy to disassemble for young kids. They don't want to put plates on top of plates too much, because then kids are going to have a hard time separating them. But this is very easy to disassemble. That could be another reason why they did it this way. And one more tile to place, plus the treasure chest and a bunch of other stuff. I'm not seeing where it goes yet, but let's take a closer look. Oh, we also have, well, this is from the previous bag. We still don't know where it goes, but I'm still looking for places to put it. And then yeah, like this is towards the rear of the castle. We're gonna attach the other stuff here, so that's why this is pointing this way and this is pointing the other way. There's this stuff. I don't know where it gets attached yet, but we'll find out soon. Looks like this actually goes in the treasure chest, along with most of the coins, as well as the jewels, one of each color. This horn piece, which maybe comes from a unicorn, and this crown piece. And then the other stuff, like, is extra parts. And even then, the chest barely closes. So we'll put this chest to the side for now. We'll look back at those pieces towards the end of the build. And I'm going to try one more time to find out where this goes. Otherwise, we'll just put it to the side, because it might be just one of those filler pieces. Oh yeah, this goes here. Yeah. Bag 7 builds the front facade of this part of the castle, including this openable door, this shield right here, and there are 2 shields like it on the inside, which I'll show you in a moment, but we also have this entrance right here and this other door to the stable. We also build these shields that I just mentioned in 2 different colors, as well as this chandelier, which is done in a really nice way, by the way. We have 4 more bags to go. Just put away all the extra pieces. So next up, we have bag number 8. It's actually pretty small, so it shouldn't be too long. Again, we're going to continue building on top of this. No minifigures in bag 8. Let's get the ads. We're doing the same pattern over here that we did right here. As always, I'm putting the sprue marks towards the camera in non-friendly angle. right, we've done this front facade. All right. So again, as we discussed yesterday, these windows are done intentionally with the cheese slope pieces so that they appear narrow from the outside, but then they are wider from the inside. I'll mute the out again. All right. There's just a pause in the music sometimes between tracks. This is a piece that I've not seen before. It's like a regular panel piece with like a 45-degree angle, but then it also has this lip or additional piece at the top. That's new to me. I don't know if it's a new piece for 2025, but it is definitely new to me, or I don't remember seeing it anywhere else. And I'm wondering why we're doing this. This might be for maybe just the castle effect instead of brick building and something at the top. So that could be the reason, or maybe there's another reason for it to be this way. We'll find out soon. For whatever reason, this is sand green. Apparently this fits in here. Huh, interesting. So apparently it actually has a purpose. Not just decorative, but it actually allows for it to be locked in place from one or both sides. I did not know that. Oh, that's an interesting piece. And the other one goes here. I'm going to lock it from this side using this arch piece. And then we're going to build some stuff here. And at that point, we'll be close to done with this bag, if not entirely done. We have a nice studs on the side assembly right here. This is going to be fun. So check this out. I'm going to do this, then this grid piece, or I don't know what it's officially called, but it's been around for many, many years. Then this tile. And this all fits in perfectly right here. That's satisfying. And then we hold it on all in place like this. For whatever reason, I have a bracket here. So I have a couple pieces, and this one is probably extra. If we don't already have a brown square plate here, but we do have one, so we actually do need to use both, most likely. Yes, that's right here. We do see clearly that there is one here and one here. Bag 8 builds the upper part of this part of the castle. So we build this thing right here, along with this facade right here, the upper part of it that I'm pointing to specifically. And this is done using a very nice studs on the side assembly. My guess is that bag 9 is just going to build the upper part of this. So let's get bag 9. When we get to a low number of bags, it's relatively easy to find what you're looking for because there's less bags overall. Just don't mix up bags 6 and 9. Sometimes people do that if they're really excited to build something. You're just paying attention, but then you put you don't have all the pieces that you're looking for. pretty large plates to put in a bag. I'm not complaining, it's just an observation. We get another minifigure. It's the Winky girl. We've seen this face so many times before. This minifigure is actually an archer, which is why she is winking to aim at her target using the bow and arrow. These things are actually not easy to use. Lots of people, they just watch cartoons and they think that bows and arrows are easy to use, but they are not. Like archery is this whole thing that you have to learn, spend years learning, in fact. So she gets this head covering, but it does not look like she gets a hairpiece. So yeah, that's one of the figures. Is this the last minifigure, or do we get one more? We'll see. I think it's one of the last minifigures at least. I'll just move the minifigures to be better shown in frame. All right. So I think we can build most of this independent from the castle and just attach the tower later when we're done. Because it's just bricks on top of bricks, basically. Oh, and we do get a hairpiece for her. This actually might be from Lego Star Wars. I'm not sure. It might be used by some Star Wars characters. I'll have to look that up. But yeah, that's a nice hairpiece, and I'm happy that they gave this minifigure a hairpiece. So we got basically one male hairpiece, one female hairpiece in the set. I mean, just stereotypically male or female. So I think that's the bare minimum. I'm happy that they gave us that. Although, of course, more hairpieces is always welcome. But at least they gave us these two. I was a little bit upset that we got no hairpieces with these first couple minifigures, but now I'm a little bit less upset when we have these two right there. You could say, oh, you can always go to the Lego store and just get hairpieces for very cheap at the Build a Minifigure station. Yes, if you live close to the Lego store and if you can afford the cost of extra minifigures. If you're on a very tight budget, or if you live very far from a Lego store, or you work odd hours, you can't go there because like it's just never open when you're free, then that could be an issue. Or if you're a child that doesn't have access to buy stuff with their own money, it's always very important for Lego to include these pieces out of the box so that most people, casual fans who don't know a lot about Lego, they just buy this set at Walmart, they can benefit as well. So with that being said, let's start building the tower. We're going to have the same studs on the side construction from before. For those of you who are new to the live stream, welcome. Thank you so much for joining. And the giveaway is still ongoing, by the way. So be sure to sign up for that only once if you have not signed up before, and if you're eligible, only if you're eligible. And the link in the description of this live stream, if you're watching live, or the replay within a reasonable amount of time after it goes live. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day or evening, depending on what time zone you're in. Actually, before I put those pieces in, let me build the small interior. Looks like a desk with a writing station. Or could this be cheese, like a cottage cheese on like a piece of lettuce? It's hard to tell. Usually ink is black and not white. So I'm wondering what this is supposed to represent. If it even means anything, it's not just a random collection of parts. But I do think it's supposed to represent something. Just not sure what. Or maybe it's like a small little model of something, like a mini Lego build. Because in medieval Lego, for some reason, the medieval people do have access to Lego. Now here we're using the hollow studs of this piece to insert these things right here. It's actually very clever design by the designer. We're using this piece in a particularly unique way. So this does rely on the fact that these pieces or these studs are hollow, which is pretty smart. I'm wondering when they designed that original piece, did they originally have this in mind? Was this a technique that was used with old Lego castles? I'm not sure, but it's definitely nice to be able to take advantage of that technique today. It's simple things like this that I like about Lego, where it's just a system that's very well designed. There are so many unexpected ways to combine the pieces together and make something meaningful. It's just such a joy to behold. And when we return back to the regular studded surface using this jumper piece, the Lego parts designers, they really know what's up. You know, we went off grid for just this window and then we came back to the grid. Beautiful. And again, we have these brackets here. I don't know if they're decorative or if they serve an actual purpose. There was a minor connection issue. Hopefully it did not impact anyone. And then this can be set to the side. The rest of the build can also continue independently and then put on top of this. You can probably see where this is going, right? I would expect one piece here to just hold the middle, but perhaps there's none. I don't see anything obvious, like it would be like a red or yellow piece that they would usually put here, but I don't see that, so we're just going to skip that and go straight to the next level. This is probably sturdy enough as it is and pretty lightweight because it's hollow on the inside. These pieces obviously go here. They have nowhere else to go. And at this point, we're just filling in the blanks. And then we just top it off with some greebling and we're done here. We'll put all these sprue marks on the inside. And two more details. Yeah, first of all, this torch. And then we have a flag thing, flag carrier. And obviously the flag is going to point in the same direction as the flame because the wind is blowing both in the same direction. A lot of people make the mistake of not having them point the same way. And these are just extra pieces. Apparently we get 2 extra of these feathers, so we could also use this as one of the minifigure accessories, by the way. So that's pretty cool. Oh, and I just realized that this flame piece and this flame piece are actually identical. It's just the color is different. So you could use the transparent flame piece here. That's pretty interesting to think about. It's the exact same piece. Yeah, it's just that often we don't really think of that. So we'll just put this together. Bag 9 gives us this female archer minifigure, as well as this tower, which is done really nicely and has this octagonal shape, along with a flag and flame, and a little bit of interior detail. Not quite sure what this is. Now bag 10, the penultimate bag. So let's get that. Bag 10 doesn't seem to be too bad either. I know bag 11 looks to be on the smaller side as well, so we're about done with this castle. It's an interesting build. There's lots of pieces, but you don't really feel it that much because they just go into like these gray walls that don't really seem very assuming. But again, you can build back them independently. I see some pieces in tan here that I was not expecting to see in tan. I'm guessing the front of the box showed this more as light yellow, but in reality it's tan. Okay, that's interesting. And I'm guessing towards the top of the build, LEGO got tired and was like, okay, I'll just give you a regular door instead of brick building the door like we did in earlier building phases. I'm guessing they did this due to lack of space more than anything else, because I'm sure the LEGO designers would have preferred to brick build the door, if at all possible. actually think I put the door upside down. Yeah. I guess the tan is more useful for the other builds and for medieval stuff in general, more than the light yellow would be. So it does make sense. Looks like we're going to build a 3-wide bed, which is quite unusual in the Lego world. The headrest is done using not that many pieces, but still manages to look good. Yeah, that's not bad. And we're not done for the bed, by the way. A nice looking pillow right there. This could be like a modern style bed as well. It doesn't have to be medieval related. After all, beds are a fairly timeless thing. And I like the use of these pieces right here to basically indicate like creases in the fabric, or maybe like stitches in the fabric, just to make it more interesting than either a sticker or just a plain tile. So that's some nice attention to detail right there by the designer. And again, this is a bed. They did not need to do this, but I'm guessing that this gives them some experience and gives people in general some ideas of what to expect in the upcoming 18 plus medieval sets, like the Light Castle, Medieval Town Square, and whatever is going to come next, inevitably later this year or next year. They used to love their fireplaces in the good old days, so I have another small little fireplace right here. I think this is the smallest one I've ever seen, with only 2 pieces for the fire itself, and very small, like, archways around it, so definitely interesting. Yeah, it's like so small that the flame like reaches into the arch. Yeah, that's how tiny it is. Yeah, I've never seen a fireplace this small before, so I'm learning new stuff every day with this set. Again, we're using a similar studs inside construction for the windows here. This reminds me of a similar technique we used in the Ninjago City workshops from earlier this year. Of this Tudor style done using just regular pieces has a nice effect to it. I think this goes here because there's nowhere else for it to go. Yeah, this is one of the things that jumps at you the most when you look at the set, like this pattern right here with all the stripes and stuff. But it's so simple to build, just a few pieces. But like I know, like 15 years from now, when people look back at this set, it's gonna be like this is one of the things that they're gonna remember. Oh, this is the fireworks. I guess I'm not gonna go see the fireworks tonight. That's too bad. I really wanted to see them. I forgot. Now I'm committed to this, so I'll have to finish it. I have seen them before, earlier this year, so it's not the very first time that I would be seeing them. Those fireworks do sound good though. I need to figure out where these pieces go, and then we'll be done with bag 10. This goes here. And this goes here. I don't know why, but it does. Bag 10 builds the main part of the bedroom of the castle, including the bed itself, a small fireplace, one of the smallest I've ever seen, as well as this Tudor exterior, which is done using very few pieces. It has a nice effect, and it's done in black and tan. One more bag to go. That is bag 11. This is really a tiny bag. I don't know why they made it into its own separate bag. Maybe for manufacturing reasons. Like these parts come from a different factory or something. Otherwise, I don't know why they did that. The roof pattern is done quite simply, just 4 tiles on top of a plate. And we repeat the exact same pattern on the other side. I do wish they put more variation into it, but of course that's easy to remedy with your own pieces or just by rearranging the existing pieces to a more exciting pattern. You're always free to do that. I'll start with the default pattern to begin with, just to evaluate the set as the LEGO designers intended. Sometimes I make quick fixes to sets when it's a very obvious thing with the existing pieces given in a set, but I don't see a quick fix for this off the top of my head, other than maybe just mirroring the parts, so making it symmetrical this side versus that side. but that's more of a subjective thing. These quite simply get attached to these pieces right here. Like so. And this is going to get clipped on eventually, but we have to add a few more pieces first, I believe. So now it becomes clear that this is a chimney. There we go. Again, we use this jumper piece to get back to the grid. And this reminds me of the assembly square, these exact pieces, and I believe this exact color, if I'm not wrong, used in the assembly square modular building. So that was also a Lego Creator set, because back in those days, modular buildings were part of Lego Creator before Lego Icons, etc. Just want to make sure I use up all the pieces so that when I attach the roof, I don't have to disassemble and reassemble everything multiple times. It looks like we're pretty much done. So yeah, we can clip these in place like this because I'm pretty satisfied at this point that there's no extra pieces. So basically the way this works, and I'll show you from this angle because it's better. You just attach this like this and rotate down, and it's going to close off the roof nicely. And that is interrupting me. That's a long ad. Come on. Yeah, so as I was saying, we put this on and then it can rotate, and then you can open it just to have a little peek inside, although it's limited in how far you can open it. Same thing applies to this one right here. And there we go. That one gets closed as well. And then we just need to add this little spire with a flag going in the same direction as the smoke from the chimney. Bag 11 finishes the build by building the roof of the bedroom, as well as this tower with the spire and flag. And at this point, I'm going to put all the parts together here in the live build, and I'll also do the same thing when publishing my final review of the set. So let's put everything together. And now it is time to take everything that we built so far and put it together. So let me bring out all the components of this set. So this is bags 10 and 11. This is bags 6, 7, and 8. This is bag 9 on its own. And we also have the bags that we built earlier. And then we also have the bags that we built earlier. Bag 1. Bag 2. Bag 3. Bag 4 with the horses. And I realize this does not look good on camera, so I'm just going to repeat the whole thing for the benefit of people watching the recap. Lots of castle in front of us, eh? I'll also bring the minifigures forward just to give myself a bit more room and not have to worry about knocking them over. I will bring them back later in this live build as well as in the build recap. And here are all the components of the castle put side by side. So this is bag 1 with this tower. Bag 2 builds this part at the front gate, basically. Bag 3 builds this other corner with a bit of foliage. Bags 5, 6, 7, and 8 build the main part of the castle, which I will show you again shortly. Bag 9 builds this part of the tower, and bag 10 and 11 build the bedroom and the spire right here. Now it's time to put everything together for the castle. So we can actually start with these parts right here since they're the most obvious. So this one goes right here. And once it's attached, it's not super easy to remove. It's not like a modular building or anything like that. So that is something to keep in mind. The same thing applies to this thing here, although this one I do think is relatively easy to remove because there are only 2 studs on this side, 3 on this side. So this one is kind of easy to remove. Although you have this thing that can get removed as well if you're not careful. And this piece tends to attach there as well. I'm not sure if they designed it to be removed easily or not, but at least it's not that difficult. So this is basically the back of the castle, or the back part of it, and then we're going to add all the other stuff to the front. So I'm pushing this back as far as I can and zooming out as much as I can. So here is the stuff we built in bag 3, and notice that we have the clips here. So this is going to clip onto this. Sometimes these pieces are a bit mushy, and once it does clip on, then basically it can hinge at this angle right here, which is convenient. We'll move the horses out of the way for just a moment, and let's bring in bag 1. Actually, we'll clip it the same way right here, and then we'll clip both to this thing right here for bag 2. And with that, we are done with the build. So here is the full castle, and I'll spin it around just so you get an understanding of what it looks like. And it is open back from back, so it's not fully enclosed like I had hoped when I first saw the images of it. So yes, you do get all the walls of the castle, so the courtyard is fully enclosed, but the bedroom and dining room are not. I really do wish that we could have gotten at least the option to close these off. So while I'm here, I'll just mention that maybe if you steal some of the pieces from the courtyard, like you get rid of one of these walls, you might be able to salvage enough pieces to kind of close this off. But really, if you want to do this in a nice and professional way, you're going to want to have like a roof that slopes over. So you might need some extra parts, or maybe even a second copy of the set to completely close it off and make it look nice and fancy. I don't think a second copy is necessary if you just want to close it off using the bare minimum of pieces, but it all depends on what you want to do. So yeah, there is that. Here's a look at the top of the spire. So even this is open back, but this is actually completely enclosed, interestingly enough. So we get like a full tower at the top. So yeah, we got a lot of good stuff in this set, but not quite what I'm expecting as an adult fan of Lego. So for kids, this is perfect. Like if they want to play around with minifigures and so on, it does make sense to have it open back, but I would have preferred if you have like a door that can open very easily so you can play with it and then close it and then it's perfectly displayable. Or you make it like a modular building where you can take off the floors or something like that. Because remember, the first modular buildings were designed for kids as young as 10 years old. They were not originally designed for adults, or only for adults at the very least. So yeah, there is that to keep in mind. And I'm going to keep spinning this around. And by the way, notice that the walls of the castle can be adjusted. So, oops, it's very easy to knock that off. I think this goes here. You can move these around as you like. So you can basically adjust the walls of the castle while it's closed. And sometimes it gets like unlocked unintentionally. But yeah, you can play around with this and give it like different shapes, which is pretty interesting. And here's what that looks like from a different vantage point. So you can move this around slightly. There's limits to how far you can move things around, but still that's valuable enough. And then you can open up the castle at any point where it's clipped on. So you can open it here, 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 or here. So that's many different options. You could also open it from both sides. You can disconnect it from here and from here. And then basically you use your imagination to fill this whole part in the middle, and you have like minifigures playing around, and maybe you have like the horses, maybe you have the treasure chest. So you could really do whatever you want here in this castle. I keep knocking things over, but again, you can reposition them. It's hard to do this while recording, do this live. But yeah, there's lots of good stuff here. Lots of good stuff in this castle. We have looked at the mechanisms before. Oh, and by the way, you can completely close this off as well. So you can have this turn into like a fort of some kind, although there is no floor. So it's like fully enclosed with no floor. You have to add your own pieces for that. But still, this is nice and respectable, and it kind of looks like a castle from most angles, although it's more accurate to refer to it as a fortification because there's not really a lot of building here. So if you want, you can have this completely separate. Yeah, so what I'm noticing as I'm playing this castle more and more is that it's easy for these pieces to get knocked off unintentionally. So when you're playing with this, you're going to want to be a bit careful. But that's true for all of these Lego builds in general. You can open the door just by lifting this. Oh, come on, it worked yesterday. Okay, yeah, there we go. And yeah, you can welcome people into your castle. So people with these horses. Again, these come off very easily, but let's see if the horses can fit through without having to remove the flags. No, you do have to take off this if you want the horses to go through. That could have been improved, I guess, but then you'd have to add additional pieces here and potentially increase the cost of the set, and also these pieces have a limited length. So they could have maybe used shorter flags for the horses. So yeah, I guess some compromises were in order here. So yeah, we've already looked at this yesterday. I'm gonna give a quick recap. Because at some point I'm gonna do a long form review about this set. So, and I'll have like time to think about the set, organize my thoughts, and give something a bit more structured. But for now, I'll just say that it looks nice. I like some of the colors used here, including the azure green of different types. This tree is a bit funky. It's a bit weird. It doesn't look too great from the side. From the top, it looks a bit better, but still, I don't understand why we used a square plate on top. I know we have to hold these pieces together, but they could have gone for something more colorful here, or at least if they needed to use this piece, like put something else on top of it to make it look less squarish, because yeah, this does not look like a tree to me. Maybe I'm nitpicking, but that's just how I feel about it. This mechanism is good. We looked at it before. I do like the shield detail right here. You can open the door, although it does not always open easily, but if you give it like some help with your finger, then it will open. So yeah, this part of the castle I don't have too many complaints about. There's this tower right here. You can barely fit a minifigure. I'm gonna pick a minifigure without the accessories, and you can put him inside sideways. Yeah, he barely fits in there, and you have to like lean him in, etc. So access to this could have been improved. in my opinion. Again, this flag keeps flying off like nobody's business. So yeah, this is okay. This is good for play, more so than for display, but even for display, it looks okay. Other than maybe these undersides, if they added some inverted tiles here, I think that would have really been nice. Treasure chest contains a bunch of pieces that can be used by the minifigures, including some gold coins, this unicorn piece. Here's a print of that gold coin. We've seen this before, but it's just easier to take everything out. So basically, here's what you get with this chest. You get 3 gold coins. Here's what that looks like in detail. You get these jewels in green and purple. You get a crown, and you get this gold chain or gold necklace, whatever you want to interpret it as. And the unicorn thing, unicorn horn in gold. So all these go in the treasure chest. You can also give them to the minifigures individually if you like. You can make up your own stories about who owns these pieces and who's trying to steal them. Maybe the snake guy is trying to steal the treasure chest, or maybe it's his chest and he's trying to sell it. You can always make up your own stories. The horses, we've looked at them, but let's take another look at them again. So you can fit the minifigures in them standing, not sitting, just because there's not enough space for that. Just got to make sure that the cape is not damaged. Yeah, that's what it would look like. So there's the king. Yeah, he's very happy to be riding his brick-built horse. And there's this guy right here, the serpent faction or snake faction. I don't know if there's an official name for this faction or if people just give it like a colloquial name. So this does remind me of Blacktron a lot just because of the color scheme. And maybe it's a reference to it. And while we're here, let's just talk about the minifigures before moving on to the rest of the build. So we've seen these minifigures before, but I'll just recap them in the order that we built them. So first of all, we build this female knight, has a very nice shield. I like the printing on the torso and I like the silver. Here's a look at her face. And she does have an alternative expression. No, she doesn't. I thought she did. But yeah, that's the first minifigure that we build. I do like this piece right here, the visor piece. Next up, we build the male knight right here. There's a very large spear, no alternative expression. But yeah, same print as the other person. And yeah, the spear is done in pearl silver, just like the legs and the hands. And this guy, we've seen him also in Lego City, the exact same minifigure, well, the same minifigure head. And just to confirm, there is no alternative expression for this guy. Next up, we build the king as well as this guy. So king, probably my favorite minifigure of the set just because of the crown, the cape, and I like the special printing that they did for him. Very well done, very regal, very appropriate. And I could see this being an 18 plus figure. And he does have an alternative expression where he's a bit more serious or inquisitive. So nice to get this figure. I hope we get this. And here's what that looks like in context, by the way. Trying to get it to focus. So yeah, it's nice to get this figure, and I do hope that we get more figures that use this piece and this head in the future. We got this guy from the Snake faction or Serpentine faction, maybe related to Ninjago, maybe not. And here's what he looks like underneath. It's actually a face that we've seen many times before, including very likely at the Pick-a-Brick minifig stations. Here's a look at the back printing, which is done quite nicely with the black, silver, and gray. Yeah, that looks really nice. I'm happy to get this minifigure. I wish we got a second one of this faction and a second copy of this shield. I guess one is better than none. The next minifigure we got is a peasant or a servant, or I don't know what else you want to call this guy, or a handyman. I don't know why the legs are blue. It doesn't really make that much sense to me, given the rest of his outfit is brown and white. And I don't think they wore blue jeans in medieval era. So that's interesting to think about. No alternative expression, but he does get a hairpiece, which is slightly off color from the color of his beard, but that's normal. Sometimes people have different colors of beard versus hair. The final minifigure we get in this series is an archer who has a bow and arrow, as well as a quiver. I believe this is called a quiver of arrows. And the print of the torso and legs are the same as for this guy. So it's basically the same print as before. So I'm not gonna take this off to show you the print because it's the same as this one. And she does get an alternative expression for when she's not aiming her arrow. And this is what that looks like. I do like the freckles, although they're kind of hard to see on camera. And we do get some extra hair pieces. One male hairpiece in black and one female hairpiece that looks like it's from Star Wars in reddish brown. So that means that you can take some of the figures that I just showed and give them these hairpieces to adapt them to civilian life. I do wish we got more hairpieces. Like we should have gotten 1, 2, 3 hairpieces, but we got 2. I guess that's not that bad, so I'm not gonna complain. We can basically have all the minifigures except one have a hairpiece. So that's not bad at all. So I'm not going to complain anymore about the hairpieces in this set. This is very nice to get. I appreciate that LEGO did this. All right, now we've talked about everything this set includes, except for this main part. But I'll talk about it quickly, and again, I'll make a separate video where I'll think about the set a bit more, take some notes, and then go over the set in a more structured way and try not to forget anything super important. But basically, you have, and also I don't want the ads to interrupt what I'm saying. So let me restart. Basically, we have, this is the main structure of the castle. It gets attached to the other structures using these components right here, which can be hinged. We have the door right here, and this leads to the dining room that we'll look at when I flip this around. I have this nice brick built shield right here, which I do like. We have this entryway to the stable or whatever else this is, done in a very nice way as well. I do like this tower right here. It's very towering and it has like some nice visual impact. And same thing can be said for this spire right here, which reminds me of the assembly square. Lots of visual impact without using too many pieces. You have this bedroom right here that is done using a Tudor style, using black and tan, which reminds me of the Tudor corner that uses white and black for its Tudor parts, so relatively similar, although that one is done in a much more sophisticated way, which is appropriate for an 18 plus set. But this is a 9 plus set, so literally half of that. So yeah, it looks pretty nice from all the angles. I do like the studs on the side construction right here. And now that I've built the whole set, I can remark that there are absolutely no masonry bricks used, not even one single masonry brick used for a castle. And I'm wondering why they went with that choice. It's certainly an interesting choice. I wish they used a bit more masonry bricks because that would add a lot of much needed texture. Because to me, this is very flat. Yes, we're using one specialized piece and we're using it here. I mean, this and this are not the exact same piece, but it's the same kind of piece. So panel, 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 panel. I would not want them to make stickers for this. Maybe they could have printed them because there's so many of them, and all 3 of these builds in the set are going to be castle related. I don't know, I just feel like this is too bland for me. Like they could have added a bit more detail. Like if there were some masonry bricks sprinkled around, I would not have complained as much. So this generally looks nice, and you have the divisions in the pieces right here create some interesting visual texture. And also sometimes the colors change between light bluish gray and dark bluish gray. So that is interesting to see. And then for whatever reason, this is sand green. So maybe they could have added a little bit more color or make that optional, because I know sometimes they go too far in the other direction where everything looks like a rainbow. But anyways, we have, turning this around, we see the interior of this set. This looks like a stable. Then here we have like a cauldron, and we're making some evil potion or something like that. You can always interpret that according to your own storytelling abilities. And here we have a dining room with a throne. So apparently this is a king's feast. And we have 4 seats here, but 6 minifigures. So 5 seats, 6 minifigures. So I'm guessing this guy is not invited. So you have to throw him out, or he's gonna have to like wait outside and eat the scraps. Whatever, you can always invite your own stories, and if you really want to, you can steal some pieces from elsewhere and give him a seat if you really want to do that. So yeah, the curtains here are done nicely. We talked about them before, but basically this dining room is nice, and I also like the chandelier, which moves along to gravity. That's pretty nice, and I do like the shields in both colors as well. So I like pretty much everything in the dining room, other than the fact that it's open back. Upstairs we have the bedroom with a bed, obviously. We just talked about that, like, because this is the most recent thing that I built, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but nice bed, nice small fireplace. Not much to talk about here. What you see is what you get with the spire. And then here, there's very little. There's what seems to be a table and maybe like an inkwell, although it's white ink, or maybe it's something related to cheese manufacturing, I'm not sure. There's no seat here, there's no other minifigure accessories, there's just this torch and this stuff, whatever it happens to be. And up on the tower, there's not much other than another torch and another flag. So, and by the way, I don't know why the flags for the castle are blue, but then the flag for the horse is red. So does this castle use red flags or blue flags? Also, the coat of arms on the front of the castle is red and white. Red and white like this. But then the shield at the front is using a horse, and it's blue and white. So which one is it? I wish they would be a bit more consistent. So we have basically blue flag, blue shield, red and white shield, red flag for the king's horse. Not quite sure what that means. And then one other issue I have is navigability or accessibility for minifigures. What I mean by that is that a minifigure should be able to access all the parts of the set, like in their world. What I mean by that is that the minifigure should be able to come to this set. I don't know why we're getting more ads as time goes on. It's really annoying. So basically a minifigure should be able to go to all parts of the set, and sometimes it's not obvious. Sometimes you have to use your imagination to make the minifigure, for example, jump from here to here, which is not the ideal way to do it. But here I do see some stairs, so that's promising. So let's make the minifigure go up, and then he's gonna be able to walk right here, although it's pretty tight, but it's doable. Then he can go here. Well, we're gonna pretend he didn't just fall. And it's pretty tight, but if you have kid-sized hands, it's going to be a bit easier. Then you can go up. These stairs are a bit steep, but essentially you can go up like this, and then here you're at the door. You open the door, it's a bit tight, but then use that door to enter into your bedroom and relax in the bed. Although I'm pretty sure this bed is more for the king and not for the peasant or this regular guy, but you know what, it's Lego, it's your own world, you can make up your own rules. And I have seen Lego characters in these builds like just jump from here to here, so you can make them do whatever you want basically. But I do like the idea of minifigure access with the stairs. To get to this upper tower, and especially to this, there is no access at all, not even the suggestion of access. So I really wish they had like a ladder or something. That would have been very cheap, like just 1 or 2 pieces to have a ladder. And that would give the idea of like, oh, you're going to climb this ladder to access instead of just using your imagination. So that is something that I wish they improved on. So yeah, I think that wraps up my thoughts on this set. And this video live stream has gone on for pretty much exactly 3 hours at this point. So I think it's time to wrap things up. I'll let you write any final thoughts you have in the comments down below in the chat, and then we will end this live stream, and yeah, I'll resume with another set tomorrow, and again you will have the chance to vote on it. So go vote in the link below, and then I will also have a poll open when I start the live stream at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific time, or 11 p.m. UTC. And let me know what you think of the August wave in general, or the channel in general. So I do not see any comments. That's 10 more seconds. All right, looks like everyone has said everything that they wanted to say, which is not much in this case, but yeah, that's the Lion Knights, not Lion Knights Castle, but this is the Lego Creator Castle for 2025. I know it has a longer name, but everyone's just going to call it Creator Castle. So what do you think about this set? Let me know in the comments down below. And also, if you're watching the live stream replay, which of these alternative builds do you want to see next? So would you rather see the jousting scene right here, or the windmill, whatever it's called? And I'm holding the box diagonally just because I don't have a lot of space in my immediate area because the castle is right behind me. Anyways, let me know which one of these you prefer, and I'll see you all in the next one. Thank you so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe if you have not already, and I'll see you all very soon. Have a good one. Bye bye.